Camera on. Call this meeting to order at 7:01. We have an addition to the agenda. Can I get a motion to make that addition?
What's the addition?
It's for a delegation.
Delegation.
I'll make that motion.
Mike?
I'll make that motion.
So it has to be unanimous if we're going to
Right.
actually do this.
Can we know the nature of the delegation?
Tunes. A presentation on her speech, right?
Good enough for me.
Bat boxes, environmental issue.
Okay. Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler for unanimous consent to add the following to the agenda: Mary Ann Toon, bat boxes.
All in favor? Approved. Adoption of amended agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Candace? Question?
Moved by Councillor Meister that the agenda be accepted as amended.
All in favor? Approved. Regular minutes from April 11th, 2023. Motion to accept. Any questions, concerns?
I'll make a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from April 11th.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer that the regular meeting minutes of April 11th, 2023 be accepted as presented.
All in favor? Approved. Ready?
Can I start?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Acting Mayor Schlossberger and Council. My name is Mary Ann Toon, and I'm a grade 9 student at Willow Creek Composite High School. Several months ago, I submitted a proposal to Caring for Our Watersheds Alberta. To my surprise, I ended up placing top 10 in the province and have received funding to implement my proposal. My proposal titled Bat Boxes talked about installing some bat boxes in my community to help care for our watershed by increasing bat populations. The purpose of presenting today is to seek support for Phase 1 of my Bat Box initiative and Memorandum of Understanding for support for the program and other phases. Benefits of bat boxes. I have more information about bat boxes and their benefits in the one-pager I made. A few highlights of the benefits of bat boxes are they help increase the population of bats, which helps spread seeds and helps pest control like mosquitoes. Phase one would see the first 2 bat boxes being placed in Frog Creek wetlands. This is an ideal location to provide maximum benefits to the citizens in the south area of town and the golf course. I will set up signs warning people of the boxes and to stay away from them so as to not damage them, harm them, and highlight the benefits of the bats. My funding will cover the cost of building the boxes and signage. I would need the town to install the box and sign. After getting approval from council, I will speak with the MD of Willow Creek about supporting the additional phases. Next slide, please. Phase 2 of implementing my project would involve placing bat boxes at Pine Coulee Park, Clear Lake Park, and Willow Creek Park. I'll ask to put up at least 1 or 2 at each park. In Phase 3, my goal would be to put up bat boxes in the MD. Possible locations could be at Town Lagoons and the end of Frog Creek at the ponds. We could possibly also put a few more boxes in the parks around Claresholm. For Phase 4, we can make some bat boxes available for people to hang up on their private properties in the Claresholm area. By doing this, I can increase the range of bat boxes and help involve others with the project. I know this seems ambitious and a lot to consider all at once, but I know having a phased approach will allow for the maximum amount of success and sustainability of the project. After each phase, the plan is to consult with my mentor, a bat box expert, the town and MD staff and administration to make any adjustment needed for future phases. Slide 5, please. Thank you so much for allowing me to present. Do you have any questions?
Questions? Ken?
No questions, but a comment. I really like your initiative. It's great, and taking care of our watersheds is super important, especially now. So
Thank
good job
you.
on you.
Anyone else? Good job. Good job. Really good job. So as with any delegation, we don't make a decision at this meeting. We will take it into consideration and make a decision soon. Thank you. Okay, action items. Number 1, bylaw 1760, 2023, property tax bylaw. Claire?
All right, thank you. Every year, the town has to pass a property tax bylaw to set the tax rate for the 2023 year. The property tax is calculated by dividing the tax levy required by the corresponding property assessment class or subclass. In 2023, property taxes are based on the 2022 property assessment as at December 31st, 2022. For the 2023 year, the budget calls for $3.7 million for municipal purposes. This includes the $225,000 for policing that is invoiced from the province. In addition, municipal tax rates, municipality must set tax rates to raise revenue for any requisitions that we are required to pay. This would include the Alberta School Foundation Fund requisition, as well as the Housing Management Body requisition, or Porcupine Hills Lodge in this case. And those are about $1.3 million for school tax and $160,000 for Porcupine Hills Lodge. Also included within our property tax bylaw is rates for the annex lands. We have a number of different properties that were annexed into the town, some in 2017 and some more in 2021. With these annexations, there are agreements with the MD that those properties would remain being taxed at the MD tax rates for a set period of years or until development occurs on those lands. So those rates are also included within our property tax bylaw. Council held the increase on tax revenue for municipal purposes to only 2.1%, despite the significant financial pressures from the province and significant inflation that we are experiencing. Of this, 1.1% of the increase is from new development. So there's only about a 1% increase in taxes that is being borne by existing development. And this includes the approximate 33% increase in the policing cost. Due to inflation, we're actually seeing a reduction in tax rates. Just going to jump down here. So as you can see in this chart on the right, there's actually about a 6% reduction in the overall residential tax rate and about a 1.8% reduction in the overall non-residential tax rate. And as you can see there, all of the rates did drop with the exception of the Porcupine Hills Lodge requisition, which is a fairly minor portion of the overall taxes. This bylaw was reviewed and presented and reviewed by the Audit and Finance Committee on April 18th, and that committee has recommended that this bylaw be presented for first reading.
Any questions, concerns, discussion? Could I have a motion to accept, please? Councillor Kettles? Question?
Moved by Councillor Kettles that bylaw number 1760, a bylaw to authorize the rates of taxation to be levied against accessible property within the town of Claresholm for the 2023 taxation year, receive first reading.
All in favor? Approved. Request for decision, 2023 final budget. Blair?
All right, thank you. On November 28th, 2022, Council adopted the 2022 interim budget, operating budget and capital budgets. Every year prior to, or at the same time as presenting the property tax rate bylaw, we also present an updated final budget to be passed. The updates from the interim budget generally include items such as requisitions and grants that we find, or that we, amounts which we receive from the province, usually in February, March. As well as by this time, our 2022 audit is completed, and we have a better idea of what our 2022 actuals were to help inform our 2023 budget. Some of the major, or the most significant changes from the interim budget that I wanted to point out was MSI operating revenue doubled from what we had budgeted. That came from the province's budget. With our 2022 numbers, inflation was greater than we had anticipated in the interim budget, so there are some increased expenses for those. Some of the hardest hit ones there were utilities, fuel, and insurance. We also did receive a couple new grants. Got word of a couple new grants that we were successful in, that we've added to the budget as well. Namely the New Settlement Integration and Language Projects grant, which replaces the ASIP grant that we had previously, as well as the Northern and Regional Economic Development Grant. This added approximately $142,000 to our 2023 budget, with offsetting expenses to go along with those. On the capital budget, there was a few changes there as well. There's a few carry-forward projects that came from 2022 into 2023 that weren't yet completed. This included the standing truck replacement, as well as completing the Emerson Park Plaza and Pavilion project. Some other projects were added as an engineering-only project for water, as well as a design-only project for the fire hall to help facilitate grant applications. We removed the grader replacement that we had in there previously in favor of a garbage truck replacement. Increased repairs and downtime of our current garbage truck has made its replacement more urgent. Also, there is an addition of our farm bulk water fill station being replaced. That is being funded 65% by the MD. There was also the deferral of a few projects, including the Community Center Accessibility Project and the fire pumper truck, as well as the fleet replacement. And those just had to do with either funding or the timing of those being received. The budget also includes $328,000 for community grants that were approved or included in the budget. Audit and Finance Committee reviewed the 2023 operating budget, and the Facility and Infrastructure Planning Committee reviewed the capital budget, and both of those committees have recommended that this budget be presented to Council for approval.
Any questions, discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the final 2023 budget as presented.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to approve the final 2023 budget as presented.
All those in favor? Approved. Request for decision, financial plans. Blair?
All right, one more for me, and then I'll stop talking. So financial plans, the Municipal Government Act now requires that municipalities have a operating and capital financial plans, operating being a 3-year financial plan and capital for a 5-year plan. These plans not only detail the expenditures, but also the revenues to offset those or fund those expenditures. The 3-year operating financial plan, we set that by looking first at those things that we know over the next few years, things like our debt repayments, any long-term agreements, and then we add in any projects that we are aware of coming up, and from there just look at our estimated inflationary changes on any individual line item as we go through the budget. Those inflationary increases ranged anywhere from 0% to 4% throughout the budget. A couple of the, one thing that I just want to point on the financial plan, on the operating financial plan was you'll notice a drop in the 2025 year and a further drop in the 2026 year with development, and that is just the Settlement and Integration Language Project grant coming to an end. The capital plan was prepared by looking at capital priorities of council, plans and guiding documents approved by council, such as the Infrastructure Master Plan and Recreation Master Plan, as well as administration's analysis and recommendation on life and replacement needs of equipment and infrastructure. There are a number of high priority projects of the town that had to be bumped later than previously planned, or they're not included in the 5-year plan due to lack of funding. We are hopeful that the new local government fiscal framework funding from the province will increase available funding, but we don't yet know what that capital funding will look like. Both of these are just plans. We review these annually, and when we go to actually pass the budgets for those years, they may look significantly different than what these show now. The Audit and Finance Committee reviewed the 3-year financial plan for the 2024 to 2026 years, and the Facility and Infrastructure Planning Committee reviewed the 5-year capital plan, both their meetings of April 18th, and they have both recommended that these be presented to council, be passed as presented.
Any questions, concerns, discussion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the 3-year financial plan.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to adopt the 3-year financial plan for 2024 through 2026 as presented.
All in favor? Approved. Thank you, Blair. Oh, okay. 5-year plan.
I'll make the motion to adopt the 5-year capital plan.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Meister to adopt the 5-year capital plan for 2024 through 2028 as presented.
All in favor? Approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Blair. Correspondence, National Police Federation. Abe.
Just be a moment pulling it up here, council.
Wish you had a button.
We should have a button you can just push and take it.
It'd be nice to have a link, wouldn't
Just
it?
saying, if you had that button, we wouldn't be waiting. Money well spent.
Okay, so correspondence from the National Police Federation. Council has previously received a few items of correspondence from this federation, all dealing with provincial plans to, or interest in provincial police force. Previously, council did carry a motion to express concern to the province, a motion that was presented by the National Police Federation, and to put their names behind support for the RCMP in the province. That was back in June or July of last year. So they are just drawing attention to an open letter to the Premier that they've recently published. There is a link on the in the agenda package here if you want to view that. Additionally, there is a town hall taking place to discuss policing. in Alberta, and that actually happens tomorrow from 7 to 8 p.m.
Questions, discussion?
The links don't work. I tried, it didn't work.
There's always one.
I can email you.
Sure, thank you.
Take for information. Number 5, correspondence, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, budget review.
So council does pay into a membership for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. They're similar to Alberta municipalities, who is the provincial advocating body for municipalities in Alberta. Obviously, the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, is nationwide. They have released a brief about the federal budget, covering a number of topics, including affordable housing and homelessness, climate action and resiliency, infrastructure and transportation, rural, remote, and northern communities, priorities in the West, Indigenous reconciliation, official languages, and community safety, substance abuse, and addictions they're all topics that they've covered in their analysis. If council would like us to research any items, we'll take a motion. We'll get a motion doing that. Otherwise, this is just presented for your information.
Any questions, discussion? Okay. Take it for information. Correspondence, Honorable Rebecca Schultz, Minister of Municipal Affairs. Abe.
All right, this is in regards to the intermunicipal collaboration frameworks. Correspondence extending the time frame whereby municipalities have to review the intermunicipal collaboration frameworks that they've entered into with their neighboring municipalities. There was originally a 5-year period from the time of signing to the time that the ICFs had to be reviewed. They've extended that to a 7-year period. And they have also recommended that you take as much time as you need to review those, because there might be some more legislative changes coming. So, holding off on renegotiating discussions. So council passed their ICF with Willow Creek. It's called the Willow Creek Regional ICF with the MD in March 2020. So that wouldn't have been due for this council to review for some time still, but it looks like there's still another 2 years on top of that. So
Take your time, Councillor Cutler.
We're one of the fortunate places that don't need the extension. We have a good working relationship with our MD, so this really doesn't pertain to us much, but it gives us some time to look at the new legislation when it comes out.
Take it for information. Correspondence. Honorable Devin Dreeshen, Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors. Abe.
So, the town was successful in getting a grant for pneumatics upgrade down at the water treatment plant. That's for our filtering system, and that is just some upgrades that are required for the operations of those filters and valve operations. Maximum grant funding is $64,316, and they will be paying 51.29% of that project cost. Again, up to $64,000. So that is in the 2025 capital budget, with the cost projected at $86,000.
Discussion, questions? Take it for information. Correspondence. Alberta Municipal Affairs, recall petition update. Abe.
Yeah, so the Recall Act, which affects municipal councils, members of the Legislative Assembly, and school board trustees, is coming into effect, particularly for municipal elected officials right now. And so this is just a piece of information letting municipalities know that that recall, a petition to recall a municipal councillor is technically in effect now, and the process whereby a councillor might be recalled, which is to get signatures of eligible voters from the municipality representing 40% of the population, either of the municipality or the ward that they represent. There's also some information for determining the population. The province is going to revert to 2019 numbers for determining the population, and so that calculation can happen. But other than that, not a lot of other information for you there, Council. Any questions on that?
Nope. Take it for information. Correspondence. Mayor Deborah Duick, Town of Tollfield. Abe.
Where is
I
that?
missed one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correspondence. Alberta municipalities update RCMP retroactive salary costs.
Yeah, so recently, municipalities that contract the RCMP, this is generally municipalities that are over 5,000 and that have specific contracts for RCMP services in their municipal boundaries, were hit with some retroactive salary increases that came out of collective bargaining, I believe, recent collective bargaining between the federal government and the RCMP. And so these retroactive salary increases were simply passed on to these municipalities. Claresholm is not affected. So far, indication is that Claresholm is not affected by this. We are under 5,000, and the provincial government holds the contract for those RCMP services. And so according to the correspondence from Alberta municipalities, they have received indication from the province that the province will not be downloading those retroactive salary increases to municipalities like Claresholm. However, those municipalities that are affected is something that has kind of come up as an extra burden during tax and budget season that they weren't anticipating. And so Alberta Municipalities has issued some correspondence to the municipalities throughout the province, including notice or a public information piece template that the affected municipalities can share, just detailing the issue, press release. And additionally, there's a motion here that municipalities can pass to show their solidarity with the process here, whereby these costs were downloaded to the contract municipalities. And so if council's in favor of passing that motion, here it is on the screen. We'll take a motion for that and forward that information on.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Meister? Question?
So, I mean, this is a long motion, but the part that I think is pertinent is the last piece. So the motion that I have written, and you guys can decide, is moved by Councillor Meister to support the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, in calling on the federal government to commit to ensuring that local governments are meaningfully consulted, fully informed, and at the table on issues related to policing costs, given the municipal role in keeping our community safe, and to convey this support in writing to MP John Barlow.
Sounds good to me.
That's how I would vote it.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Can you get it one more time, please?
Moved by Councillor Meister to support the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, and calling on the federal government to commit to ensuring that local governments are meaningfully consulted, fully informed, and at the table on issues related to policing costs, giving that the municipal role in keeping our communities safe, and to convey this support in writing to MP John Barlow.
Thank you.
All in favor? Approved. Correspondence, Mayor Deborah Dueck, Town of Tollfield, exemption of newspaper from EPR. Abe,
So last council meeting, council had a piece of correspondence from Barhead, I believe. And this is a response to that correspondence. It was a concern for the extended producer responsibility, which is a program by the provincial government that encourages companies to recycle materials and produce less packaging waste. The idea there is to put an onus on the producers of waste to proactively use less waste and recycle themselves, rather than having traditionally local governments are the ones who run the recycling programs, and have them bear the burden of running the recycling programs. Some municipalities presumably have had delegations or interested, or letters, or interested parties connect with them and express similar concerns. We haven't had any such delegations here, but if council wants to administration to research this further, we can do that.
discussion? For information. Correspondence, Reeve Marianne Sandberg, MD of Willow Creek, intermunicipal funding agreement. Abe,
So council has a recreation funding agreement that they've signed with the MD of Willow Creek, as have all the other urban municipalities in the MD. Whereby the MD agrees to pay for 50% of the fixed costs. Fixed costs being utilities, insurance, and telecommunications for some of our shared recreation facilities. For Claresholm, that is the curling arena, curling rink, the ice arena, and it'll come to me, the pool, the aquatic center. And so, according to that agreement, the agreed upon fees that the municipality was paying was due for renewal next year, to be reviewed and to be renewed next year for inflationary cost increases. And the inflationary cost increases were capped at 1.5%. The MD of Willow Creek has actually proactively reached out to the rest of the partners in the recreation agreement and said they would like to, due to inflationary pressures and costs that they know the municipalities are all bearing, they would like to initiate that review a year early. And they were also willing to waive that cap of 1.58%, that inflationary cap. And so what they did was they requested that the administrations from the other urban municipalities forward them their fixed costs from 2022, and from there they calculated new cost sharing agreement and have proposed that here for you. So that is an increase of about $15,000 in operational costs for us. Sorry, an increase in contribution towards our operational costs of $15,000. It's a better way to put it.
discussion. Take it for information. Okay, correspondence, Porcupine Hills Classic Cruisers. Abe,
Yeah. So Porcupine Hills Classic Cruisers regularly does a show and shine during our fair days. They're looking to kick that off, or get approval for that again this year. They normally do that at Centennial Park. They're looking for that approval again at the Ball Diamonds. That is Sunday, August 13th, 2023. Good part of fair days, and they're just looking for an approval of that.
Can I, discussion, concerns,
I'll make a motion.
question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to allow the Porcupine Hills Classic Cruisers to utilize Centennial Park Ball Diamonds on Sunday, August 13th, 2023, for the purpose of their 31st annual show and shine.
All in favor? Approved. Request for decision, letter of support, CPIC grant, Centennial Park. Abe,
Yeah, the Lions Club is looking to submit an application to the Community Facility Enhancement Program for the small stream funding, and this is for an upgraded park at Centennial Park. This is in the capital plan for 2024. Total project cost is $205,000, and the Lions Club is applying for the CFEP grant for half of that, $102,588, with the town's donations to be in kind $19,244. That's labor and materials, and $83,344 of funding. The town has applied for other grant funds, and if successful with these ones, that will reduce the town's commitment for the playground.
questions? Discussion? Can I have a motion to support this letter of support for the...
I can make that motion.
Councillor Carlson? Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to read a letter of support towards the Claresholm Lion Club's application to the Community Facility Enhancement Program for the purpose of constructing a new playground at Centennial Park, and provide matching funds of $83,344 plus $19,244 in-kind donation for a total of $102,588.
All in favor? Approved. Request for decision, letter of support, CPIC grant, Fire Hall. Abe,
So the Claresholm Firefighters Foundation is submitting an application to the CFIP program, which is the large stream. The one we just reviewed was the small stream. The large stream funds projects between $125,000 and up to $1 million. So council has already approved, this is a two-phase project. Council has already approved phase one of this project, which is pre-construction. Phase two only proceeds currently if the town is successful with the grant funding. And so the total project cost of the fire hall expansion is $1,023,000. The application will be for half of that, $511,000. The fire hall currently is basically running out of room for all the equipment that they have in there. And in addition to that, needs renovations on the facilities in general, better meeting rooms, better office space, better washrooms, all of those things. It's been a while since those facilities have been renovated, so that's why they're looking, the Firefighters Foundation is looking for, to move forward with some construction on the fire hall. So again, they're looking for a letter of support to support the application.
questions, discussion?
I'll make a motion to write a letter of support for the Claresholm Firefighters Foundation.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to write a letter of support towards the Claresholm Firefighters Foundation's application to the Community Facility Enhancement Program for the purpose of the fire hall addition and renovation, and provide confirmation of the matching funds for the project as per the grant application.
All in favor? Approved. Request for decision, 45th Avenue water main replacement. Abe?
Yeah, so there's a water main replacement that's scheduled in the capital budget in 2023 on 45th Avenue. The purpose of the replacement is this is an area that's been identified in the town's infrastructure master plan as requiring upgrading. The current water line there is below the town standard. It is a 4-inch line, and in accordance with the infrastructure master plan, we should be installing an 8-inch lines and strategically working towards replacing any lines that aren't 8-inch. What this project will do, in addition to aligning us with the infrastructure master plan, is increase water flow to the region, particularly for fire hydrant capacity, hydrant flows, as well as increase the condition of the water to these residents. So we have, our engineers have sent this out, sent out an RFP, request for proposal. We have received back 12 submissions, ranging in price from $210,000 to $434,000. WSP, who is the engineering contractor, has recommended Shawnee, and they had the lowest bid of $210,789. Once you add the contingencies and the engineering costs, the total project comes in at $236,293. So we are looking for a motion to award the project to Shawnee Excavating and Trucking. We have had, Shawnee has done some work in the area and done satisfactory work in the area in the last few years. Project out of the airport, and 1 or 2 other small projects in town.
Questions, discussion?
I'll make the motion to award the 45th Avenue water main replacement to Shawnee Excavating.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Meister to award the 45th Avenue water main replacement project to Shawnee Excavating and Trucking and the amount of $210,789 as recommended by WSP Engineering.
All in favor? Approved. Request for decision. Westland Drive storm trunk. Abe?
So this RFD is for approval to award the contract for some work to be done on Phase 2 of the town stormwater management plan. As you can see on the diagram here, this is actually a phased approach to the second phase, whereby we recommend stormwater infrastructure to be installed along Westland Drive and connecting, heading east and connecting into the golf course, and then diverting stormwater out to the wetlands. So this project has gone out for tender. The town did receive 7 submissions. This project is in the 2023 capital budget. And 7 submissions were received, ranging in price from $502,000 to $884,000. The submissions were reviewed by the engineers, Associated Engineering, and recommends that the project be awarded to McNally's contractors, who had the lowest bid of $502,000. McNally's is familiar with the town. They've been awarded a few projects in town recently, including the water main replacement in this area from last year. They're doing the Highway 2 project for us this year, and they did 2nd Street for us last year as well. The project consists of installing precast concrete vault at the intersection of 43rd Avenue, Westland Drive, on the existing 600 millimeter stormwater line, and installing a new 1200 millimeter precast storm sewer along Westland Drive. The project accomplishes three major tasks. It will divert all stormwater originating west of 4th Street West into the new line and away from the existing bottleneck. That's the purpose of this project, Phase 2. In the first place is there was a bottleneck over by the fire hall on the east of the fire hall. And so this will collect, while it's not the full project to collect from that bottleneck, it will alleviate that bottleneck by collecting before the water gets to that bottleneck. All the water on the west. And of course, it allows for the development of the parade staging grounds, which currently need to be serviced by the stormwater system. The project was to be partially funded by the CCBF in the amount of $350,000, and the remainder from the capital water and sewer utility reserves and the land reserves as well. So this project does come in under budget. Again, as we said, it was projected to be $750,000. We would recommend just using the same ratio, breaking the total cost down to the same ratio that we had it before.
Questions? Concerns? Councillor Kettles?
I can talk. I would be happy to move that we accept this as presented.
Thank you. Question?
Moved by Councillor Kettles to award the Westland Storm Trunk Outfall Project to McNally Contractors 2011 Limited in the amount of $502,780.86 as recommended by Associated Engineering.
All in favor? Approved. Request for decision, annexation application report and agreement. Is this Gavin?
Yes, we have our
He has a bed in the back, don't you now?
we have our planner with us here to help us tonight. But as council knows, we've been working through an annexation process for lands west of the town. Better parts of 3/4 sections here, as you can see on the screen. What we'd be looking for tonight, council, is approval of the annexation report, which is included in your agenda, as well as approval of the accuracy application, which is actually in the report, and the tax agreement as well. That's in there. Tax agreement is very similar to previous tax agreements that the town has agreed to in previous annexations. The tax agreement basically holds that the town will assess the annexed properties according to the MD's tax rates for a given set of years. This one is a 15-year period. That 15-year period doesn't apply if the land becomes a new parcel of land created by the result of subdivision or separation of title by registered plan, if the land is redesignated at the request or on behalf of the landowner, or if the land, this is a new one, it wasn't in previous agreements, if the land is connected at the request on behalf of the landowner to water or wastewater services provided by the town. So if they're connected to town services. In which case, that tax agreement would cease to apply for that given piece of land that's been subdivided or connected to town services. And the following year that happens, that property would be taxed according to the town's municipal rates. Gavin, did you have anything that you wanted to, Gavin has actually prepared this package for us, so I'll let him take the conversation over from here.
Thanks, Abe. we're just looking at what the next steps are. So you may not be aware that Willow Creek's meeting coming up this Wednesday would be the time that they would look at this. And then they need to sign their consent. So we would be looking for their signature and approval at their Wednesday meeting. Once accomplished, there is also the need to make sure that we have all the signatures on all the consents. There's a possibility that ExxonMobil will not be, the appropriate person will not be found to sign such a document. And in such case, it is a requirement of the municipal government, Land and Property Rights Tribunal, that an advertisement go out seeking Exxon's signature. If they fail to respond to that advertisement, then the Land and Property Rights Tribunal will consider it signed and move forward. So at this juncture, I believe that staff will reach out again to Exxon to see if the appropriate party would move this forward. It is not uncommon that in these situations that a signature is not forthcoming, as it is not high in their priority list as to what they need to be doing. There are certainly a number of processes, and if you wanted to know why all the writing in the front part goes in, you turn to the last few pages, and there's the list of what they require you to provide as far as the checklist that's on those last 3 pages. The document does contain all those pieces, so therefore we have a completed document, and as such it is ready to be moved forward. There often are questions of the government. They at times will read or not read a section and not understand where that answer is, and then turn around and say, could you point me to where that answer is, and then you have to cut and paste it and send it to them. We also do provide them a final map that would go into their final decision, so that is a fully grayed out map with not a lot of detail that gets attached to their order in council. Now, the order in council is considered by the minister, so this will be going to the LAPRT for approval as the reviewing body, and then it will be moved forward to the minister for signature. We do not expect any opposition to that because Willow Creek and the landowner and yourselves are all in favor in moving this forward. The minister, as I understand there's an election coming, could take some time getting set and ready to sign this. So this likely doesn't get signed until the latter part of the year, making this application, they could make it retroactive to the time it was sent in, but that we leave that decision up to them as to when they want to make this a reality. So it could show up with the 2024, January 1st, 2024 date on it. So if you have any further questions regarding what the content or any of the processes, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions, concerns? Can I get a motion to approve the report? Councillor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to accept the annexation report as presented for submission to the Alberta Land and Property Rights Tribunal.
All in favor? Approved. A motion to proceed with accuracy application for annexation and enter into a tax agreement for 15 years for the land. Councillor Carlson made that motion. Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to proceed with the accuracy application for the annexation and enter into the tax agreement for 15 years for the lands within the annexation area as presented in the annexation report.
All in favor? Approved. Thanks, Gavin.
Thanks, Gavin.
Okay, financial report, statement of operations. Abe?
Yeah, just financial report for your information, council, and information of the public as well. Sorry, just trying to pull it up here. If you have any questions, try to answer them. If not, I can definitely get the answer back to you.
Questions, concerns? Could I have a motion to approve? Counselor Carlson. Question.
Moved by Counselor Carlson to accept the consolidated statement of operations for the month ended March 31st, 2023 as presented.
All in favor? Approved. Information brief, Greater Metro Hockey League. Abe?
So about a year ago, council had a few delegations from the Greater Metro Hockey League. They were looking to expand down south. They have expanded up north in the Edmonton North area. At the time, they said they needed three teams committed, or 3 communities committed, to make an expansion area viable. It sounded like they had someone in the pass or Pincher area, don't know exactly where. And Claresholm, the council here, went through a process, set up an ad hoc committee, kind of reviewed pros and cons, and connected with local user groups, actually council did its due diligence, and came to the conclusion that, yes, they would like to proceed with Junior A, is it Junior A? Hockey club in town?
So-called.
Yeah. So we went ahead and council approved a motion to do that and to sign an agreement. At the time, I think this was last year. It was too early to do it for the 2022-2023 season. So we're looking at 2023-2024, which would be this fall. We tried to connect with the league. It was difficult to get them online, and things kind of just fell apart. And so we're not pursuing that anymore. And this is just some information back. The budget has been adjusted. You saw in a previous conversation about the operating budget that those projected revenues that we were looking to get from the ice rentals have actually been removed from the budget. So we did just want to report back to you, council. If you have any direction for us, if you want further information, we can take a motion and take some direction from you there.
Mr. Counselor Kettles.
Based on what I'm hearing, we should probably also tidy up and disband the ad hoc committee as well.
Need a motion for that?
Sure. Yep.
Counselor Kettles will make a motion to disband the ad hoc committee. Question.
Moved by Councillor Kettles to disband the council committee, ad hoc committee, the Greater Metro Hockey League. Exploratory committee?
That's what it was, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. All in favor? Approved. Information brief, CAO report. Abe.
Hey, council, this is a report to you on the activities of the administration from the last month. Various departments and staff have provided their updates for you.
Questions? Discussion? Concerns? As always, well done. Very interesting to read that every council meeting. Information brief, council resolution status. Any comments? Discussion? Looks good. Adoption of information items. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Counselor Kettler to adopt the information items as presented.
All in favor? Approved.
And sorry, you skipped the council committee reports, if you guys wanted to expand on that one. You skipped that one.
He hit it.
Got that one?
Yep.
Nobody had any comments.
Resolution status is what we missed.
No in camera? Motion to adjourn. Counselor Carlson. All in favor? Approved. We are adjourned. Camera off?